Hey y'all, it's DJ Dum Ditty. Today's March 20th, and this is the Dum Ditty News. What's trending right now? OMB director defends Mr. Trump's non-balanced budget. Remember Mr. Trump said he was going to balance the budget rather quickly? Well, turns out that the OMB director says that, well, because we ain't got health care, and because we hadn't figured out the tax situation yet, and because we're still through all the infrastructure, those numbers aren't viable. They're still standing by their long-term no debt, but instead of 8 years, now it's 10. What else is going on? After refusing to shake Angela Merkel's hand, Trump now says Germany owes vast sums of money for defense to the NATO organization. Germany, of course, declines. Also trending, days after announcing, I thought this was rather interesting myself, y'all. Days after announcing that all options were on the table when it comes to North Korea, well, all of a sudden the Secretary of State Rex Tillerson is now meeting with the Chinese, probably the only folks that have any kind of sway over North Korea. So I thought that was rather fascinating. That's trending right now. Also, oh my goodness, yeah, this just happened up in the New York area, and just days after Chuck Berry died, but New York columnist Jimmy Breslin passes. Nobel laureate, won a bunch of Pulitzer Prizes. He's a long time columnist up there for New York. He passed today. Sorry to hear that. This was kind of funny. Former South Carolina police chief, all right, took a plane trip to Paris. Come on back, and he got detained for an hour. He couldn't understand it. Said, if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody, y'all. Now, what he didn't tell us was that his name was Hassan Aden. Either way, you can kind of see, like, it's not like they had no reason. I'm not saying it was the right reason. I'm just saying. All right. Judge Neil Gorsuch begins his U.S. Supreme Court confirmation today. That is today. That's not in the news. That is today. That's what's going on. That's what's trending. Also, I thought this was kind of cute. Sesame Street added a new character, y'all. Her name is Julia. She has orange hair. She got orange nose. She got orange eyebrows. She also has autism. And she's there to show folks like Big Bird and Elmo and Oscar the Grouch and even Snuffleupagus that, autistic kids are normal kids too, and you can play with them just like anybody else. So good for Sesame Street bringing in, what was her name? Julia. Julia, the new character, has autism. Good for her. Finally, in the news, Uber loses its president after only 6 months. Right? He's a former CEO of Target. Uber hired him to come over and kind of, fix their image a little bit. But after 6 months, he's stepping down. He's resigning his position as president and CEO of Uber. Now, insiders tell us that he spent the weekend drinking on the town, kind of like an undercover boss thing. He only took Uber, and what he found out was that after just 1 weekend of driving, he was broke and he couldn't afford it. Uber. And that's the news, and that's what's going on. Now, what happened today in history? We're going to start back in 1760 with the Great Boston Fire. It was on this date, March the 20th, that happened. In 1778, King Louis XVI recognized the United States a few days earlier, but it was on this date that his representatives were announced, among them Mr. Ben Franklin. Apparently, he had to quit that job because they wouldn't let him fly a kite. Don't know if that's true or not, but it sounds good. In 1852, Uncle Tom's Cabin was published. Now, wait a minute. Shouldn't Uncle Tom's Cabin be built? Shouldn't be published, it should be built, right? No, I don't know. 1854, the Republican Party was formed in no other than Wisconsin. I thought this was kind of poignant, seeing as how the recent election went with Donald Trump in Wisconsin. But apparently a couple of Whig Party members got together in Wisconsin, and it was on this date in 1854 that they founded the Republican Party. It was also on this date that the first tax cut was implemented for the rich. Go figure that one out. 1861, Willie and Tad come down with the measles. Man, now this was a big deal in 1861, and measles was a big deal. A lot of folks was dying from it. But these two kids, Willie and Tad, taken notice by the American people. You see, their father was Abraham Lincoln. That was in 1861. Where else are we going to now? 1915, Albert Einstein publishes his general theory of relativity, which is also kind of interesting because it was on this date, about 33 years later, that Q was born. He's from Star Trek. We'll get to that in the birthdays, though. In 1922, USS Langley is commissioned as the first U.S. Navy aircraft carrier. That happened on this date, 1923. And where are we at now? 1928. Auto pioneer James Packard died at the age of 64 on this date. It was in 1928. 1985, Libby Riddles became the first woman to win the Iditarod Trail Sled Dog Race. Yeah, you see, apparently Libby was in heat and all the dogs just couldn't pass her. They had to follow her. Eek. Oh, I'm going to get some mail on that one, I'm sure. It was on this date in 1995 that the Tokyo subway was attacked. It was sarin gas that injured over 5,000 people, killed like 12 or something like that. But that happened over on Japan in this date, 1995. 1985, we already covered that one. 1999, Legoland opens up in Carlsbad, California. Now, I thought this was also interesting. They say that when you cry, if the first tear comes out of your right eye, that it's a happy tear. And when you cry, if the first tear comes out of the left ear, it's a sad cry. Now, when you cry and tears come out of both eyes at the same time, it's because you stepped on a Lego in the middle of the night, and it's all usually followed by a bunch of cussing. Yeah. All right, so where was we now? In 1999, 2003, we began the invasion of Iraq, the U.S. and some of its allies, and it was on this date in 2015, y'all, that a solar eclipse, an equinox, and a supermoon all happened on the same day. Well, I guess it had to be the same night, but anyway, you get my drift. That was in 2015, and that was March 20th, y'all. March 20th, not a good day if you're a famous person and you're 27. Some of the people that died at the age of 27, a lot of these are music, so don't go into music until after you're 27, y'all. Brian Jones died when he was 27th on this date. Alan Blind Wilson. No, I'm sorry, it wasn't this date, y'all. It was just because they were 27. Whenever they was 27. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but Amy Winehouse, Brian Jones, Alan Blind Owl Wilson, Jimi Hendrix died on this date, along with Janis Joplin. Jim Morrison at 27, Kurt Cobain, Pigpen McCarran, founder and member of Grateful Dead. They all die when they're 27, so if you're going to go into that, don't do it. Don't go into music until you're after 27, y'all hear me? All right, let's talk about something a little more fun. This is birthdays. It was on this date in 1811 that Napoleon Bonaparte II was born. He went on to become King of Rome. In 1906, Ozzie from Ozzie and Harriet was born in Jersey City, New Jersey, no doubt. 1931, Hal Linden was born. You all remember Barney Miller? I used to love that show. 1937, in Atlanta, Georgia. Shoot, y'all. Daggone, Jerry Reed was born. You remember him from Smokey and the Bandit? It was filmed here in Georgia, too. But Jerry was born in Atlanta, and he had a birthday on this day. He was born in Atlanta, Georgia on this day, 1937. 1945, NBA coach Pat Riley. Yeah, you know him. Big old-time coach. Winning out there. He was born today. We talked about this a little earlier. It was in 1948 that John Delancey was born. John Delancey played Q on Star Trek Next Generation. He knew all about time, space travel, and time continuums, and that sort of thing is kind of what Albert Einstein's relativity theory is talking about. So that was the tie-in there. 1951, guitarist Guy Perry and guitarist Jimmy Vaughn were both born on this date. That was in 1951. In 1961, Slim Jim Phantom of the Stray Cats. Slim Jim Phantom, happy birthday to you, buddy. He was born in 1961. And 1967, Atlanta's very own Mookie Blaylock. He was a guard or a center or something for our basketball Hawks down here. So happy birthday to all them folks. That wraps up today. DJ Dum Ditty takes care of our news. I am DJ Dum Ditty, and this is the Dum Ditty News. Want to remind y'all to go over to My Fund, or Fund Me is actually what it's called. It's called Fund Me, DJ Dum Ditty Do. I'm over there, and I got me a little hat fund. So if you had yourself a good little time here and a little chuckle, go on over and drop me off some spare change, just whatever you got laying around. Like I got 30, 40, I got 45 cents sitting over here, so just go on over there and donate that for me. One final thought this evening, y'all, if you're drinking, please don't drive, and if you're walking, well, don't trip. Good night, everybody.